Hello. I want to talk to you today about unexpected blessings in our lives. Easter was a very challenging time for all of those who experienced it. The disciples had come into Jerusalem with the Lord on Palm Sunday. They had proclaimed him king. They had pictured him setting up a powerful earthly kingdom, and they would be confidants to the king. They would be rich and powerful. In fact, they were already arguing among themselves about who would be the most important, and some of them were trying to have secret conferences with the Lord to establish that they would be the ones who would be closest to him. And then the Lord was crucified, and it all came crashing down. Their 3 years of dreams ended, and they were left without hope. Well, for us, it can feel pretty similar right now. Our lives, for many of us, have just ground to a halt. We're isolated. Many people don't have jobs. We've got physical safety issues, either our own physical safety or the fear of catching it. People's jobs are at stake. People are wondering, am I going to keep my house? How will I eat next week? What will happen to my retirement because of this? Those are big issues. Not dissimilar from the kind of big that the disciples were dealing with as their dreams ended. Now let's get back to Easter Sunday, because I think you'll see it has some relevance. On Easter Sunday, the perspective the disciples had changed. Their dreams had been shattered. But on Easter Sunday, they realized that maybe that was not the case. They had to look a little bit deeper. But by doing so, they realized that the Lord was not merely a king for this world, a king for the Jews. He was a king for all people. In fact, he was a God, the one true God. And he wasn't merely a God for the Jews, but for people in the whole world, and in fact, people in the whole universe, and in heaven and in hell. And their roles changed. They weren't just ambassadors to the king. They weren't just powerful people. They were ambassadors for the one true God. They discovered a calling, a mission that far surpassed anything that they had ever experienced, something that drove them for the rest of their lives. And while they weren't rich and they weren't powerful, I think that all of them would have said they would have chosen that simpler life with the joy that it brought in proclaiming the Messiah over any of the things that they'd hoped for before. So what about for us? Without being too Pollyanna-ish, are there unexpected blessings for us right now? Well, for the disciples to see their blessings, they had to learn to look deeper. They had to stop looking for an earthly king and instead look for their God. They had to stop thinking about their own power and benefit and instead start thinking about the benefit that the whole world would be able to receive because of what the Lord had done. So, can we take that kind of thinking into the present situation? Now, you can answer what would work far better for you than I could, but here are just a few thoughts. Many of us are confined with family members far more than we usually are. And we're having to learn to live in ways we wouldn't have otherwise. Is this a time to really look and see the other people around us with a deeper level of love and compassion? Is it a chance to get to know them better? Some of us are living alone, and that can be very challenging. Is this a time to learn to rest in the Lord? And many of us are more busy than we were before, but I would guess that most of us have more time now, if we chose to make spiritual practice part of our lives, building in daily prayer or daily reading of the Word into the routine of our lives, building in times of reflection, asking ourselves what we can do to make a difference. It comes down to this. We are fundamentally spiritual beings. And as such, we are not limited by the external circumstances of our lives, by our bodies. We can choose, whatever the circumstances of our lives, to act with love and integrity, to look at other people with compassion and concern and a desire for service. So I invite you now to find ways to be spiritual in a challenging daily time. And I actually think because it's challenging, it's the right time to do it. It's the time to say, no, I am a spiritual being. I will choose to live with compassion and integrity. I will choose to act as if there is a God of love in my life right now. I will invite him in, and I will see the blessings that he brings. I wish you well on this journey.